He's done it!
Throws up the floater.
Oh, it's astonishing.
Pulls off three-pointer.
We're going to go ahead and jump into episode 32, I believe, if my math is correct, of Off the Record. As you know, if you join us every single week, I'm your host, Bailey Jackson, joined by my co-host, Lachelle Smith, and we've got a very packed episode for y'all today. It is football heavy. It is football heavy because we had the bowl games on the college side. It is NFL playoffs. We've got some conversations about coaching carousel, some rotations, some teams that are firing some head coaches, some teams that might be firing some head coaches, some rumors. We have some rumors of people who we didn't even think were going to be head coaches that are apparently in the conversation. So we have a lot to unpack today. We're going to go ahead and jump into the college football playoffs. And I want to start by kicking it off with the Rose Bowl. You already know what I'm about to say. Can I get a Hoosiers?
Are they saying it with you in the chat?
Nobody's saying it in the chat, but that's okay. Chat, if you want to join, this is your opportunity to join. I did that voluntarily. Nobody prompted that one. But yeah, Indiana versus Alabama. This is the matchup that I wanted. I've been saying this for a while now, that I think that Alabama was the team that was going to be the easiest for them to beat compared to Oklahoma, and that is exactly what happened. I said this in the chat with Lachelle and our editor, Louie, earlier in the week when the game was being played, that the tide has turned and it is low. Indiana put on a humiliation masterclass. I guess I look at this game, what went well for IU specifically. Fernando Mendoza, great as always. The wide receiver, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm gonna go with Elijah Surratt. I could be wrong on that pronunciation, but I mean, every time I looked up and there was a key play happening, he was the one on the receiving end of that ball. I felt like was a really big factor in IU's win. I will say I wanted to see IU's O-line tighten up a bit. Mendoza got sacked way too many times, and he has not dealt with that nearly as much as he did in this specific game. So that is one thing I did not like. But overall, I enjoyed what I saw from the Rose Bowl game. Obviously, on the Alabama side, we did see Ty Simpson get hurt. And I'm curious to know, how much of an impact do you feel like that made in this game? And then also just give me your overall impression of this Rose Bowl matchup.
The Ty Simpson, I guess, injury report, they say he's really been injured all year long. Again, I don't like using those excuses now once things get really bad, because you weren't saying that when he was just playing Oklahoma. Alabama's not good. I feel like, like you said, that was the easier matchup. Truly it was. I don't know why anyone thought anything different. Alabama has been inconsistent all year long. They were a team that I did not believe deserved to be in the playoff, to be quite frankly honest, especially looking at how they played towards the end of the season. And you saw what happened against an actual good team. This is the result. Like, you played an Oklahoma team who has also been inconsistent. So those were the lesser of two evils, more evenly played matchup. You played an Indiana team that is a well-oiled machine on all fronts, all stages, even with a bye, and came out and you would have thought they just played 2 days ago, as sharp as they were. Alabama is not good. That really is that simple. On a lot of other categories, we could be talking about the roster, we could be talking about development, we could be talking about DeBoer, we could talk about a lot of stuff, but them being humiliated how they did bothered me, because you saw how they quit. And I think if you're the CFP committee going forward, I'm not going to forget that come next year. I'm not going to forget that when we start having these conversations and you sat there begging to get in here and you quit by halftime. Like, we all visibly saw it. Again, big credit to Indiana. Indiana did what they were supposed to do. Number one seed, you handle your business. You get this team up out of here so we can go ahead and relax and get these roses all thrown at us. So, like, big credit to them. I wasn't surprised at how well they played, because that's a well-oiled machine over there. But Alabama, it bothered me. It bothered me. Alabama fans should be bothered. Y'all was over here hooting and hollering, screaming, we should be in the CFP, and we did this, and we beat them. And then y'all sit there and quit in the Rose Bowl. I don't want to hear it no more.
Do we realistically think that this is going to be factored into next year's college football playoff because of ratings, because of money, because of TV deals, all the other factors considered, does this one game really impact Alabama's future in the playoffs?
I think it will be a conversation.
Sure.
I think if you're the CFP committee, you got a few things right and you got a few things wrong. The biggest thing that they got right was kind of the ones that were right on the bubble, which is like a Miami. Like they rolled the dice on that one and it's like, oh, that paid off. Like that paid off. Like that worked out. Alabama was one that you can tell they definitely rolled the dice on. And I feel like the reason they got in there was because of the name of Alabama. And I think we all can kind of agree with that because that team isn't the Alabama team that I believe was deserving of that spot. So I think, like, if I look at it from that conversation of how they did this year, I do believe that they might, in the back of their minds, if things are very similar in record, standing, and how they look, if we see this happen again, it wouldn't surprise me if they're like, okay, we gave you the nod last year. You're in the same situation again. We can't give it to you again. So you're going to either have to be better than what we just saw, or if this happens again, you're going to be on the outside of this bubble going into next year.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. We've got a comment in the chat from Buckeye2968. Each season and it is its own entity, so Alabama's future in the playoffs is a non-issue, especially in the era of the transfer portal.
Yeah, I think I disagree with that, but yeah.
Okay. Why would you disagree? I'm curious.
At a certain point, we got to get past the name. Like everyone's using the name, and it's like, if you're not good, you should not be in here. I think the only thing that kept Alabama together, it was a Nick Saban team. That name precedes everything, right? But we're also looking at an Alabama team when they were on that cusp, sat there and won the games that they needed to at the last of that season, and we were like, hey, they did what they needed to do. You know, they got in there. So I don't know. I can't keep using the Alabama name and like we're just disregarding what we're seeing from the team. I don't know. I can't get with that. Like, yeah, it's Alabama on their chest, but that doesn't mean that this is the same Alabama team we've all loved for the last, few years. Mm-hmm. It's a different regime.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Yeah, we are looking at a different era of Alabama football. But this era is over for this season, and it's on to the next. As we have Buckeye2968 in the chat commenting, I can only assume you're Ohio State fans. So let's go ahead and pivot over to Ohio State and Miami, because I'm sure we've got some comments, some concerns, some frustrations here. I know I do, because every single year, Ohio State disappoints me. Every single year, there's something, whether it was last year with them losing to Michigan, whether it was the year before them losing to Michigan, whether it was, I can name a lot of things at this point. And here we are, round 2 of the college football playoffs, round 1 for them because they had a bye and they lost in the first game. Like I said, this is the biggest disappointment of the college football playoffs so far from my perspective. It was a really slow start for OSU, and that slow start put them in a hole. Miami's defense is dominated in the trenches. They consistently pressured Say and sacking him 5 times. There's a lot of costly turnovers from Ohio State that led to big plays. Miami's Keontae Scott returned an interception for 72 yards for a touchdown. OSU did fight back in the second half, but at that point it was too late. They trimmed a deficit, but you can't do anything if you come off as slow as they did. It was an unfortunate loss, but honestly, Miami deserved that win based on how they were playing. It was disappointing. It was disappointing. That was not what we wanted to see. That was not what we wanted to see. But as I was getting to my point and wanting to transition back over to you, Lachelle, give me your thoughts on this game, because I know you on your own social channels have just discussed this game, what this meant for Miami, and more. So please share your thoughts, feelings, and perspectives here.
This CFP is a lot of parody. I don't like, it's so much parody that it's surprising me because I did give the edge to Ohio State. One, I didn't have Miami getting this far. I thought Texas A&M would have handled them. So again, all respect to them because I've counted them out. Mm-hmm. But it is abundantly clear that in the parity of this playoff, there are 2 things you're going to have to win a game. And that is, 1, winning the trenches, line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, and being able to run the football. And those things are very different for some of these teams. And for Miami, it's just something about them. You could tell that they got this grit, this dog, this energy to them that a lot of these other teams don't have. And I hate to say it, Ohio State's won. I think you saw it after the game in the press conference. They asked Caleb Downs, like, what I guess went wrong. And it's only so many answers you could give. And he was like, we missed our assignments. It's that simple. Like, we didn't get stops when we needed to. Like, I don't want to say Ohio State got punked, but they were not the aggressors. Miami was. Even in a close game, you kind of saw them little by little just take way more shots to the face. I mean, they had a run game when they needed it. Those little plays that get you the real plays that you want. I'm not a big fan of Carson Beck at times. I question him, but he plays well in this system. So I don't know. It's a lot of credit to Miami. That defense is fun to watch. They win those games in the trenches because of that dog mentality they got. I mean, you got some of them sleeping in the facility at night. Like, like it's different over there. But for Ohio State, the concerns were there all season. Not having a running game is hard to win, and they didn't have a running game. I felt like the national championship year, they had a running game. You had multiple backs you could go to that give you that trenches mentality of being the aggressor. They didn't have that. Tried to develop it towards the end of the season. It was too late by then. Then you really can't get everyone going. You got Jeremiah Smith, but you can't get anybody else going because Julian Sand over there running for his life. So I don't know. It's so many things. If you're OSU, it's not something to be disappointed about, I guess. But it is something to say like, oh, like we're not in this era of dominance where I think we're going to see teams have those back-to-backs and be there again. Like, it's looking different right now. And OSU is one of those teams, like you said, where it's just like, it's a disappointment, it's a letdown.
We've got some comments from Buckeye2968. Very passionate.
Oh, gosh.
We were rusty due to the 25-day layoff. It's not parity. Teams with buys get rusty due to time off. 18 to 22-year-olds can't be off nearly 4 weeks. 8 teams have had first-round buys this year and all have lost except IU. With a 16-team playoff, there will be no buys. We also have some predictions from the same chat about another game. But like I said, just wanted to read those comments. We'll get back to those in a second because I do want to touch on them a little bit later. But we are going to recap the other 2 bowl games. I'm going to go back to the Orange Bowl. We got Texas Tech and Oregon, a team we've said a couple episodes ago that we thought was a dark horse of this entire college football playoff. And, despite us thinking that we were wrong, they were stopped by the Ducks in another humiliation masterclass. Oregon put belt on them 23-0. It was very clear. Texas Tech's offense crumbled against Oregon. They had a season high turnovers, 4 in that game and a season low in total yards. LaShawn, what were your thoughts on this game?
That offense was bad. Like, if I was on that defense, you got every right to go up in there and start hemming people up because that defense was good. Like, truly, that Texas Tech defense is real. Like, a lot of them made a lot of money in that bowl game. Like, they truly kept them in it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can't score,
then what's the point? Yeah.
The play calling was bad too. Like, I get everyone's trying to be like, well, Morton didn't do this. The play calling wasn't great either. It wasn't really strategic. They didn't take certain shots when they needed to. When they finally get to the goal line, they still can't get anything. You end up throwing an interception to Finney, who already had one. That offense was bad, but you know what? They got oil money. So they're going to go get them a quarterback in this portal. They're going to get them a few wide receivers. The defense is settled. They got
defense is set. Yeah, they're fine. They're fine.
That billionaire said, "Oh, a quarterback.
Yeah.
Easy. I could go get me one of them."
Yeah, they're one
QB
away from a title run. That's for sure. We'll see them back.
For sure.
But yeah, that Oregon loss was not fun to watch if you're a Texas Tech fan, and not fun to watch if you had the same bracket as ours, because we both had them advancing. And unfortunately, that is not the case. But hey, shout out to Oregon, because they did what they had to do there. Last but not least, we have arguably probably the most entertaining game of the week. This is a game I confidently said that Georgia had in the bag, especially after remembering that Ole Miss is without Lane Kiffin. Ole Miss was able to put up some points early, scaring the Bulldogs fans a bit going into the second quarter, but UGA came back, putting up 21 unanswered points. Fast forward to the fourth quarter, and it turned out it was going to be anybody's game. A few call outs I have, because while I was watching this game, all I could think about was Trinidad Chambliss and Kwan Lacey. That duo right there, they looked phenomenal. Lacey gave them a pair of touchdowns in the second half, which obviously helped them secure that win over UGA. Pete Golding said it looked like an Ole Miss game in the stadium. They played in New Orleans. Smart said it felt like a road game for the Bulldogs. They definitely credit the Rebels fans for helping generate that momentum and give Ole Miss that extra edge. I do want to also call out what we saw on the Georgia side, Gunnar Stockton. When you're looking at Trinidad Chambliss and Gunnar Stockton, this QB matchup, I definitely give the advantage, or I guess not the advantage, but the win to Chambliss and being the more talented, more explosive QB of the two. But yeah, I liked watching this game. It got scary. It got scary for sure. And
That's spooky.
by my bracket said that UGA was gonna go all the way to the Natty, and you had UGA winning the whole thing. So how are we feeling now that our brackets are a little busted because of this Ole Miss win?
I got to stop picking teams based off coaches because I like Kirby Smart.
Yeah.
I like Kirby Smart. So I was like, okay, I could trust Kirby. He's been in these situations. He is a already known winner. Why count him out now? But I've also been a fan of Ole Miss throughout this season and how explosive that they've been offensively. I mean, this is one of the best offensive teams in the nation, at least in that top 5 category, top 10. So they have that to them. Their defense is the only thing that's inconsistent at times, but they're able to get stops when they need it. And that to me was very present throughout even this game. It didn't surprise me that they won because they've been good all year, personally, I think, or at least impressive enough to make it a competition. So again, big credit to Trinidad Chambliss though, because if he doesn't escape from that pocket like 3 times, this game is looking different. If he's not getting out and making some magic, keeping his eyes down the field, flipping the ball, you don't have all these things, but it's the same thing Lane Kiffin said about Ole Miss when he was there with Trinidad Chambliss. He's special. The kid has it. He runs this offense. If he gets going, we win games. And you saw it on display here. And I know a lot of Ole Miss fans felt like, oh, this game is despite Lane and all these things. But I'm like, this is the same roster he helped build. This is the same strategy he helped build. If anything, this is all just a culmination of the things you already were throughout a season. Him being gone doesn't change that. It, if anything, magnifies it. But I guess they feel like this is a time to prove like why leave. But again, like, you still have things you have to do to find yourself in the position of the ultimate prize, which is winning a national championship. And they're about to face a very tough opponent, but very impressed with them. Georgia, disappointed with them not being aggressive towards the end of the game. They looked out of sorts, couldn't get things going. Just didn't look like a Kirby Smart Georgia team that I'm used to seeing.
Mm-hmm. Buckeye2968 in the chat said SEC's reign over college football is coming to an end thanks to the portal and NIL. I think the playing field is definitely evened out as collectives start to form and get stronger and have more budget and more power behind them. And obviously we're seeing that with the Big Ten right now. IU, I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, Michigan, Ohio State has always been a powerhouse when it comes to, recruiting, but Penn State, same, Oregon. Some schools have just obviously figured it out, but there's, I would say IU is probably the best example of just, even playing field when it comes to money, when it comes to transfer portal. We even see it today. I mean, alone, I feel like I've seen 3 different reports of specifically for IU, some of the top talent coming to Bloomington next season. Michigan State wide receiver committed to IU today.
Really?
To IU today. Yeah, he was the top wide receiver in the transfer portal. IU got him. Quarterbacks coming to us. I forget from where. I know our friend
TCU?
Louis. Is it TCU?
I think it was.
TCU.
I was kind of surprised at that one, but hey, Ignetti's a great talent recruiter because I'm like, him? But who am I?
Right. Okay, we've got the Boston College running back Turbo Richards. What an interesting first name.
That is a great name. Great name.
Has committed to Indiana 52 minutes ago. Yeah, they've had a really good day today when it comes to the transfer portal. Yeah, Turbo Richards, with a name like that, you better be fast. But yeah, no, right? I mean, I agree. I agree with that when it comes to just the portal and NIL. SEC's reign is, I don't know if I want to say over, but it's just getting more difficult. We'll put it that way. It's going to be difficult for them to remain. We've said SEC is the powerhouse when it comes to football. ACC is the powerhouse when it comes to basketball, and I feel like we're going to stop saying that with due time as we see NIL and like I said, this transfer portal continues to develop. But I do want to transfer. I do want to transition back over to a topic of conversation that we've already brought up through the chat, but one that I said that we would pivot back to as we finish recapping these bowl games, and that is this bye week conversation. All the teams that earn first round buys lost except for IU. I feel like we already kind of know the answer to this, but I am curious because I don't feel nearly as strongly about it as some. Do you really think that the extended layoff hurt more than it helps? And is it something that the college football playoff should reconsider? The committee should reconsider.
It's long. I will say that it's long, but I don't like the excuse. And I don't like that we keep saying, oh, because they're 18 to 20 something year olds. At the end of the day, preparation is key. I do agree it's long. It should be shorter. And I think that should be assessed. But at the end of the day, if you're going to complain about a bye, you're going to complain if it's 2 weeks and if it's 4 weeks. Like it's no middle ground to that, right? Because you still got to give time if they're going to have a bye. Like somebody got to go play. Like,
right.
So I don't like the excuse. I get it. They're young and all these things. But again, there are head coaches that are grown men that are there to prepare their team, get them in place, get them prepared to play. We did not see that with Indiana whatsoever. I don't think that should be an anomaly. That just goes to show what preparation actually looks like and when a team is ready. A bye that long in college, you get healthy. You get to strategize even more. You get all the advantages if you ask me. The only disadvantage is like what? You not, I guess, ready to go right then and there, maybe. But like other than that, you got way more advantage. So I don't like the excuse. I do think they should shorten it, but I don't like it. I think it's a cap. Like it's an excuse for losing. Like it just, you're getting rewarded with a top seed. Like, what is the problem here? I mean, you heard it for Texas Tech. I think they asked, the head coach, and he was like, he was trying to navigate what to do. And he said they didn't do a lot of live practices. Well, that's why you messed up right there. Again, trying to figure out what you should do, but you forfeited something that probably they needed, which was physicality, live reps, getting in that mode. Instead, you opted to get your team healthy. We saw what that looked like. It's preparation, not necessarily the time, but it should be shortened. I think we all can agree on that. But nah, y'all that's a cop out for these teams not getting their teams prepared. I don't like it.
IU being able to do it says a lot. It would be a different story if all 4 teams were out and, this was a reoccurring conversation year after year after year, right? Then it would be like, okay, well, we have almost a case study now of, maybe this isn't working. Maybe we do need to reconsider this. But, we're still kind of new to this model. And, one team was able to do it. Granted, 1 of 4, not great, not great odds, not a great percentage, but it proves that it can be done. And that if you do it the right way, you can use that month off and you can still win. And like I said, IU did it. So, to your point, it does feel like a little bit of a cop out to a degree. And I feel like it's more of a reflection on how these teams chose to prepare. I would be very curious to see what IU's last 4 weeks have looked like. Would have been very curious to see how, OSU's, Texas Tech, and Georgia with UGA, what their preparation looked like the last, month, because, clearly it was different. No team's going to go into it the same, but, what is that winning formula? Because it's there. It's just, not the 3 other teams didn't figure it out. So that's my response to that. Dan Lanning has an answer as well. And his proposal includes a January 1 national title game each year, centered on condensing the annual calendar and reducing the length of time between games for playoff teams. How do you feel about Lanning's solution?
I kind of agree with him because I think, too, he ended up saying we shouldn't be competing with like the NFL. I think he said there's like, where you have that Saturday where now like, or New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, all these things, you're competing with the NFL all of a sudden and all these things. I do agree that a January cap to me is good timing on a lot of fronts because the transfer portal opens up the 2nd. So get done with that. Transfer portal opens. You could go ahead and get into the offseason. It should be shorter. He also, I think, said, these buys and these higher seeds, like, we shouldn't really be having, like, these neutral sites. Like, you should really just be playing at the home of the higher seeds. Because I think he was like, we really should be playing at Texas Tech
in Lubbock.
Now. Yeah, like, we shouldn't be. And I liked when he said that because I do agree. Like, if you do that, you could get to these bowl games to be the real centerpiece of the calendar. And then, like he said, you get to the January 1st. I like his proposal. I mean, the 4 weeks is insane. I'm not gonna like that time. That's a lot of time.
Hmm.
So I do agree with that, but I do like that he didn't use that as an excuse for teams not being prepared. More so as saying like we're just doing a disservice to the whole college football landscape of how we could do it. I like it. I think it should be January 1st. I think the higher seeds should get that home game. Should not be neutral sites just yet. Cap this thing off on January 1st. Go into the portal January 2nd and ride off into the sunset.
Right. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying in terms of the rest of that quote because it's like I love Miami and I love playing here in Miami, but it's like we really should be in Texas and last
Yeah.
year we really should have been in Oregon. So yeah, like understanding that those neutral sites, we might need to figure out how to bring those back and not have these or not bring back neutral sites. We need to figure out how to bring back the home field advantage and maybe save the neutral sites for a little bit later in the season. I do want to go ahead and transfer over to I don't know why I'm in this saying transfer, transition, transfer. It's transfer season. I guess that's what my mindset's in right now. But I want to look ahead, is more importantly what I'm trying to say, to the remainder of this college football playoff calendar because we have two games coming up this next weekend. We have Indiana versus Oregon, and we have Ole Miss versus Miami. I want to go ahead and start with IU Oregon. It is hard to beat a team twice. Ugh, and I hate that we're going to see this matchup again because I do feel like Oregon is going to have an edge on IU just because they've seen what IU can do to them. Would hopefully, I mean, from their perspective, for their sake, I would hope that they would change what they need to change in order to be a little bit more competitive against Indiana. Not saying that previous game wasn't competitive because it was definitely a close one, but looking back on that first matchup, I want to go over what we felt like went well for IU and what will be the key to them winning the Peach Bowl. Obviously, I have them winning the Peach Bowl, but let's start there. Lachelle, who do you have winning the Peach Bowl? I feel like the answer is not IU, the way that you're looking down right now.
I want to say Indiana, but it is hard to beat a team twice.
Okay.
And the only reason I think I'm gonna say Oregon is because they improved on one thing that I think has been the question a lot of people had, their defense. And I think that defense got a lot of confidence after beating Texas Tech. I feel like maybe they figured out certain things. I mean, the offense is not really the problem here. These are two competent quarterbacks. They could do so many things. The offensive weapons are there on both sides. It's really just who can make plays, but it comes back to the defense. Who can get stops? I want to say Indiana, though, because I like the operation. Like, there's nothing about that team that I have concerns about. And that to me is like, if I don't have any concerns, that should be the winner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Oregon just to have some spice in there.
House divided because you already know who
Yeah.
I'm choosing. IU. You look at that last game. I mean, Dante Moore struggled. There was multiple turnovers. IU's pressure was a big reason that the Ducks couldn't sustain drives. So I feel like their defense needs to be on point. I feel like they can be on point, just generating consistent pressure. I said this once before, and I'll say it again. Omar Cooper Jr. and Elijah Surratt are going to be key to this game. They have to stay healthy and they have to play well, and they have to continue to be clear go-to targets for Mendoza. If those three things do not happen, IU will not win this game, but I am confident that those three things will happen, and that is why I'm choosing the Hoosiers, as well as, of course,
I know that's right.
being a Hoosier alum does play a role. Always flex this degree. Spent 4 years getting this thing. But anywho, we'll go ahead and move on to the next game. We got Miami, Ole Miss, a game that neither of us predicted happening. What do you feel like Ole Miss would need to do in order to win this game? And then we'll go ahead and look at what Miami would need to do before we jump into our predictions of who is going to win.
Ole Miss defense is going to have to be more consistent. I think that's the biggest thing. It's hard to rely on an offense throughout an entire game where they're gonna face a really good defense in Miami. It's their defense, and I think it's being able to get pressure on Carson Beck. It's being able to have secondary help. Their secondary got exposed just a little bit with Georgia in certain situations. So I would say it's their defense in terms of what they're going to rush in their pressure package, but also what they're going to look like on the back end in the secondary. They could get home and sack Carson Beck at least, say, 3 to 5. They could win this game.
Mm-hmm. I want to say their offense and getting them going early. I feel like just establishing the run early, getting their the passing rhythm set early. I think handling Miami's defense is going to be key. Staying out of a shootout, most importantly, just being able to control the tempo and be able to sustain long drives. Looking at Miami, I feel like you've kind of said this, let the defense set the tone. That's one thing Miami's really, really good at. Control the line of scrimmage, stay disciplined early. I feel like those three things are going to be the key to a win from them. What do you think when it comes to Miami?
If you're Miami, you just gotta get Fletcher Jr. going quickly. Let him just set the tone, be an aggressive runner, go ahead and put that pressure. And then you got to get Malachi Tony going. If they could get those two going in that first half and really get those explosive plays that they want, everything will work out for them. Their offense has been kind of the slower portion of this game. Their defense is great. Those are some dogs over there. They'll get them stops. They'll get the ball back in their hands. It's that offense. You got to get Malachi Tony going quickly. I think they need to do some different packages, have some fun with it, have him in the backfield. Mike could go Wildcat. Mike could do some reverse plays, want to see him in motion, but you got to run that ball with Fletcher Jr., get him going early. When he gets going, it's a different tone for them. So it's that offense. Miami's offense goes fast, quickly. They're in a very good trajectory to win that game.
Okay, now who do you have winning?
I have Miami. I'm going to roll with the Hurricanes.
I really want Ole Miss to win, given that they kind of have this underdog story, especially without Kiffin. But realistically, I think it's going to be Miami.
Isn't it something about it? Like, I want to say Ole Miss, right? Like, I want to be like, yes, but it's something about Miami in the back of my mind that I'm just like, I don't know if it's Michael Irvin. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. It's something about it though that I'm just like, it might be to use time.
Hey, for our YouTube folks, we're gonna throw in that clip because Michael Irvin on the sidelines. Oh my gosh, that is funny.
A fan. That's a real.
I don't even know if fan is the word. There needs to be a new definition for what he is, because that's a character right there. That's a character. Chat, let us know who you have winning. We've got Buckeye 2968, Oregon national champion, and the Big Ten wins the Natty for the third year in a row. I do think, well,
you feel like the winner is either Indiana or Oregon.
Oregon, yeah, I think it's a Big Ten.
I feel that way too.
Yeah, I think it's a Big Ten year for sure. I didn't want to I didn't want to say it like that way. I don't know. In my head, I was like, as I was trying to form that sentence, I'm like, wait a second, because I don't really want Oregon to win it. But I do think that regardless of what happens, I do think this is going to be the Big Ten's year again. Okay, so the U wins. They're hot right now, and Ole Miss and their coaching staff, especially, may be too distracted. So it would be a Miami-Oregon matchup, according to Buckeye 296.
That would be fun. That would actually be really fun.
It'd be interesting for sure.
Anyone out of Oregon, Indiana, I'll be fine with. That's one game I don't think I'll be upset at any of the outcomes. I think they're two teams that are super deserving, obviously, with what they have going on. But that Miami, I don't know. It's something about Miami that got me like, yeah, I don't know if it's like childhood nostalgia or like, am I feeling this energy? Like, oh, the U is back. Like, should I go watch the 30 for 30? I don't know. It's Michael Irvin, man. It's Michael Irvin. He's
got you the spirit reinvigorated.
He got me, man. Yeah. He got me.
I don't know. I kind of just, I partially don't want Miami to win because they beat Ohio State. Like, that's also why I'm just kind of praying on their downfall a bit. But I do, like, genuinely at this point, it's like, well, we got to get past the OSU thing. But maybe it's better that Miami wins, because then it's like, well, dang, OSU lost to the team that's in the national championship.
Is that you trying to cope? Is that your coping mechanism?
Might be. It might be time for us to transition out of this topic.
It's okay that they lost because the team won.
Right. Sometimes it just makes it feel a little bit better. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I accept that loss a little bit because they went on to do really good things, Boy.
It was worth it.
It was worth it. It was worth it. It is what it is.
That's so funny.
All right. Well, we've got a lot that we already talked about when it comes to college football. And of course, we've touched on the transfer portal a little bit. I do want to go ahead and talk a little bit more about it. As you keep hearing me say transfer. This has been on the topic, or top of mind, this topic specifically. So the college football transfer portal opened a few days ago. It's creating a lot of chaos for schools, collectives, agents, and players. as expected. I mean, we talk about this every year, I feel like, at this point since 2021, when NIL became a thing. A Power Four NIL collective head reported they've been on the phone almost every minute of the day and into the midnight hours. Agents have been sending quote unquote grocery lists of players planning to hit the portal to NIL collective heads. Some players are reportedly still playing in the college football playoffs. The January portal is creating issues. To no surprise, players who transfer won't get to their new schools till mid-semester, almost at September. College football playoff teams risk losing in the portal as they have to balance a title run and transfers. Rosters are more expensive than ever. Two NIL collective heads have reported that the magic number is $25 million for a power conference program, with some teams approaching budgets of $35 million. Is the spirit of college football gone?
Yes, but not in the way of competition. It is, I think, how we're getting to it. I think this becomes messy, right? When we start hearing about guys that are trying to get this type of money from this school and like, oh, they're negotiating over here. I think that's when we all get turned off by the situation. I think it's the same thing Nick Saban's been saying for the longest. It's the wild, wild west. There's no guardrails. We don't know what's true. We don't know what's right. Nothing's illegal, technically. Like all this money that we're throwing out to children technically is like insane when you start to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think college football, the spirit of it is still it's fun. I think when we get into playoff time, we love it. We love those games. We're all in it. We're not even thinking about the transfer portal, I guess, per se at that time. But then you get to this part and it gets messy because you're like, why am I talking about these kids transferring? And like, we're supposed to be focused on 4 teams that have, two of them are going to have a
right.
chance to go to the national championship. So, it turns into the money and the NIL collective and agents and, college sports was amateur. It's not amateur anymore. I do believe that they should get compensated. I'm never going to be on the side of billion-dollar corporations taking advantage and then you don't see a dime.
Mm-hmm.
But it took away, I think, the purity of it. But anytime money's involved, the purity is gone. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw a comment earlier today that it's turned into minor league football, and I couldn't agree more with that. It kind of feels that way.
That's a good comment. Because that's what it is. Like that really, especially when you think about minor league baseball, like these are like children too that are making like tons of money, hoping to get called up to the big leagues. Like that's a great way to put it. I'm still in that because that's what it is. It's minor league football for sure. You don't even have to go play in like the XFL and all of that. Like you could just stay in college and rack up some checks.
Yeah, you really could. You really could. Yeah, this transfer portal season is, I mean, it's starting to mimic free agency. At the end of the day, it's really what it's feeling like. It's feeling like the free agency conversations that we have when those pop up in the season. I feel like the spirit of college football is gone? Not completely, and for the same reasons that you mentioned, because there is so much magic and there's so much hype and so much attention and on the big moments this time of year, the playoffs, the championship games, the rivalries, of course. You have Thanksgiving week and the rivalry weekends, and I don't think that the spirit's gone, but I do feel like some of the things that made college football special have disappeared because of NIL. Now, does that mean I'm saying anything about NIL and its existence? No, because I do think players should be getting paid. However, there's pros and cons to everything, and this is the kind of the opportunity cost of it, right? We'll see how these last 2 games end up playing out. I do want to go ahead and transfer over to the NFL because it appears that the Browns might be firing their head coach. It's been reported that they are leaning towards moving on from Kevin Stefanski. However, it is also being reported that, or I guess not however, but in addition to GM and Andrew Berry is reportedly likely to stay. A lot of people are happy about Stefanski potentially being out the door, but want Berry to go with him. Thoughts on that?
I don't know why anyone wants Barry to go because he actually is the one that, out of the things that went right in this draft class, he was the reason for.
I agree.
I mean, got Fannin Jr., got Judkins, got Mason Graham, like got a ton of talent from this draft class. A lot of hits, not as many misses. Mm-hmm. The Dylan Gabriel thing, I think we can all say with confidence, was not a Barry call. That came, I believe, from Stefanski. How he talked about him, you could tell that was his choice. I do believe Barry wanted Shador. I mean, Dion has went over and over saying that they had already a good relationship with certain people in the Browns facility. It was really like Stefanski was the outside that wasn't down with the plan. So I would keep Barry. It's obvious he's a great talent recruiter. He saw who was going to make sense. You might got a tight end that might be a Pro Bowler one day. Shador played well and started getting those reps. I mean, everything made sense. So Stefanski should go for sure. I mean, once you got Myles Garrett sitting up there and was like, I think they asked him, like, what do you think, like, would be best if, like, Stefanski? He was like, whatever's best for the team. I said, oh, this man's out the door. Like, he said, whatever we got to do, we could do it. I'm okay with it. That's code word for y'all could fire him. It's okay.
What do you think this could mean for the quarterback position? Do we think that that means that Shador has a permanent starting spot? Do we feel like Gabriel should be worried about ever seeing QB1 next to his name again? What do you think that future looks like for the QB, whoever that might be?
It should be Shador's. I feel like he's given us enough at this point, or at least he should be going into next season with the QB1 spot with a chance to have majority of those beginning games to really claim the stake of that title. I mean, he deserves a full season where he's actually getting, reps with the ones consistently, practicing as though he's a QB1, being in those conversations where the OC is catering this game to what his strengths are. He didn't get that. So I feel like, yeah, he should be the guy going into next year, especially with what we saw from the later half of this season for Dillon Gabriel. I mean, it's no offense, but it's one of those things. I think Tom Brady said the worst thing that can happen is like you getting hurt and then the backup comes in there and they start doing what they do and you never see it again. Like that's a reality. That wouldn't be a new thing if that happens to him. And I hope people know that. Don't use it as like they're out to get Dillon Gabriel now. Like that's what happens in this league. A backup comes and starts winning and has that juice, has that flavor. You might not ever see that spot again until you go somewhere else. That, to me, might be the reality of this. Shador has earned the right at least to be in the lead of QB1 going into the offseason. All you got to do is get him some weapons, and that's some receivers that can catch. You go get him that, and maybe a few more offensive linemen. You rocking and rolling because the defense is great. Like, you got certain pieces. Let him be QB1. Give him the little weapons that he needs. See what it looks like at the beginning of the season. It's going to work itself out. The team wants him. It was only Stefanski, if you ask me, that didn't want him.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And with that being said, I feel like Shador's future is really bright. I mean, like I said, Stefanski was kind of the roadblock into Shador's, future of success. And I said this, once before, I'll say it again. I feel like he was, more or less forced to be on board with Shador. Now that Shador has kind of proven himself, this only helps his case more. I think if I was Gabriel, I would be concerned. But not necessarily because the head coach is gone. However, that being probably your, the saying goes, you don't have anybody else, or what is it? How do I want to say this?
Yep.
It's your biggest advocate. I mean, he had his, I guess, second biggest advocate in Stefanski. So, with that out the door, it's like you really got to rely back on yourself again and just, making sure that you're playing to your best to potentially earn that spot back. And it's hard, especially after you're coming back from injury, like you said. But we still got a whole lot of other quarterbacks that we've got to talk about too. Because the reality is we also have Deshaun Watson.
Why I thought that? I was like, we just completely ain't even respect the fact that this man getting all this money over here.
Right.
Like I thought about that mid-sentence. I was like, wait, Deshaun's just sitting there collecting these checks.
A lot of money. Yeah.
Just skipped right on over him. Like,
yeah. There's a few people that they could probably choose from, but realistically, Shador should be a QB1. But realistically, do we feel like the Browns hiring a new head coach really moves the needle for them, or do you feel like there's other things that just need to come together in order to make this team one that's a little bit higher on our conversation list?
I think it's the coaching position. I think because that's the head of the snake. You get that right, get the culture that you need. I mean, I feel like we saw it like with the Patriots, right? Like you get the right coach that has that energy, that juice, that understands what this thing is all about. You find yourself in the playoffs with a really good team. I think the same thing for the Browns. You got to get the right coach, someone who's going to believe in your quarterbacks, not make that division so obvious and have a mentality. But yeah, I think that's their biggest concern. Everything else you could get in the draft, offseason, certain little weapons that you need. But the coaching position, that should be priority number one.
No, I agree with that. All right, we will. And when it comes to the coaching position, we got the coaching carousel. As we get close to the playoffs, it's become a little bit more clear who's staying, who's going, who might have a new job. I want to quickly go through these, and I just want a quick reaction from the chat from you, Lachelle. These are just statements. These are, some of them are questions, actually. Actually, no, all of these are statements now that I'm reading through them. And none of them are confirmed. However, some are speculation, some are leaning towards a direction of it being a confirmed yes or a confirmed no. We'll start with Raiders likely to part ways with head coach Pete Carroll.
Yeah, that's probably high up there. Probably shouldn't have been in this position anyway. But I like Pete Carroll, so respect for the OG. But yeah, they're probably on their way.
I feel like it seems a little odd to bail on him this soon, but I do feel like he's probably on the way out. But that's just my 2 cents. Okay, we've got head coach Todd Bowles and GM appeared to be safe even if the Bucs missed the playoffs. Reaction.
I agree with that. I agree. I think they like Todd. They like what they got going on there. Some things are just bad luck of the draw.
He's 34-33 in Tampa, and he's playing in the weakest division in the NFL. I think you might want to reconsider that one if you're the Buccaneers. But that's my 2 cents.
You want him to go somewhere else?
Oh, I'm just saying rethink it. I'm not forcing him out. I'm not saying you should go somewhere else. I'm just saying, like, look at his record, look at the division you're in, and factor everything together, and maybe have a longer conversation with yourself. That's all I gotta say.
That's fair.
Okay, next one. Philip Rivers as head coach.
Man, he's gonna go back home and be with his grandkids and coach his football team. We're done. No. Not right now.
There are some sources that say that teams are doing research on Rivers as a potential head coach. I didn't think that this is a real headline, but it is legit. I guess after his, few games back with the Colts, they said, hey, he might be a solid head coach. I think he can make a decent quarterback coach. I think he can make a decent pass game coordinator, but giving him a head coach title out the gate is crazy to me. If anything, go the college route first. That is all I have to say about the Philip Rivers conversation. Okay. Despite the season, and we talked about this before the show started, despite the season the Bengals have had, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins have been consistent voices of support for head coach Zach Taylor.
Like Jamar Chase said, I'm confident in myself. That tells us everything. He's confident in himself, not in his coach.
And there you have it, folks.
I'm not confident either in your coach.
All right, last but not least, Commanders have discussed potentially moving on from offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, even if he doesn't get a head coaching job. Reaction.
That's kind of crazy to me because I think he's the right offensive coordinator for Jaden Daniels. It's obvious he was hurt, so you didn't get to see it at full strength. But the glimpses that we saw, you saw what it looks like in a Cliff Kingsbury offense with a really good quarterback. That's insane. It's hard to get good offensive coordinators. You can see what the Detroit Lions just went through. They're not even in the playoffs. And the offense looked a little different. Jared Goff was looking a little different out there. Okay? And then you got the Chicago Bears looking great because the OC over there is now the head coach. Got to be careful letting OCs walk. You don't get that many that are that good. Cliff Kingsbury to me is a good OC. Bad situation with injuries, but that's crazy. I mean, somebody will take them if they don't want them.
Yeah, I think it's funny. It's like the narrative is, oh, Cliff Kingsbury is a genius when Jaden Daniels is healthy, but then when he gets hurt and they have the oldest roster in the NFL, it's time to move on. It's like, all right, what are we drumming up over here? It's not really making any type of sense. But anyways, it is time to transition over to our favorite segment of the night. And I'm going to check our submissions real quickly before we jump into it. All right, chat, we're relying heavily on you. Think hard as Lachelle is teeing us up for this section.
You already know what time it is. I wish we had a soundboard where we could just go, beer, 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 beer. But we like to hear.
Sorry.
There we go. We got a soundboard. Like, you know what time it is. We got your submissions, which y'all didn't submit, but y'all are in the chat, so don't be shy now because you've been chatting all stream, okay? We want your hot takes, your questions, your opinions. Maybe you want to debate us on something because you disagreed with something earlier in the show. Maybe something we didn't talk about that you would like to ask us right now. The floor is yours. It's a new year, so don't go into 2026 being scary, okay? Y'all be hooting and hollering every other time. Hoot and holler right now with us.
All right, we got somebody in the chat. We got Louis in the chat. Can we please talk about Kalen DeBoer? I think he needs to go. Who would Alabama hire if Kalen was fired?
I don't have an answer of who you would slide into that spot. I mean,
yeah.
I think Alabama messed up already, and I think everyone has talked about it, that Alabama should have went the route that you see other schools go, where you kind of have the guy that comes from the tree of who the successor was, which was Nick Saban. You know, DeBoer is not a guy from the Saban tree. I know we say it all the time and it sounds redundant, but it's real, because then you look at all the 4 teams of who's playing for a chance to go to the national championship. They're from the Saban tree, you know, majority of them. So I think for Alabama, they've already messed up when they picked DeBoer. Not to say he's a mess up, but you're already in it. I think he at least has like 2 more years. I think they're going to give him 2 more. Get him his full recruiting class. Let him figure this completely out with the guys he recruited from start to finish. Some of these guys are still kind of from Nick Saban. So it's like, okay, you might gotta clean this thing out, give him a full chance. He at least got 2 more years, I think.
Yeah, I've been steady on the they're not firing Kalen DeBoer train. I mean, I've said it once before. We've had this conversation a few times now. I think despite how this season ended for them, they're still going to keep him around. I don't think that even this loss to IU, as embarrassing as it was, I don't think it's going to change anything. We've got Buckeye 2968 in the chat saying, who now on January 5th, too late. They're stuck with him for 2026. I think, a minimum of a year left, makes a lot of sense. Now, if we find them in the conversation next year,
that's
Bama's
different.
out of the playoffs. Bama will make the playoffs. Yeah, DeBoer's probably gone at that point. But yeah, I am not saying this year. Not happening. Yeah. All right, chat. Rams win Super Bowl.
Say that again.
The Rams win the Super Bowl. That's the take.
It's not absurd.
It's not absurd. No, yeah, the Rams they're a good team.
I just don't know. I don't know if I can agree fully though.
Who would they play? That's what I guess. What's that matchup? Rams versus Denver. Could they beat the Broncos in the Super Bowl? Yeah. I think so.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I could say, yeah, I think that matchup, yeah, I think so.
I mean, Stafford is putting up MVP numbers, so hey, I ain't gonna count him out right now.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, still, there's a lot of variables there. What does that path to the Super Bowl look like? Who would they have to beat in order to get there? It's just like Rams beat Carolina, knock off Seattle in second round. Okay, that would be the path.
That's hard to knock off Seattle, though.
Yeah, yeah.
But they struggle with the Panthers, I thought, too. Man, this NFL playoff picture, low-key kind of fun. I ain't gonna lie, not having the Chiefs, it's kind of fun. I like it, y'all.
Yeah, we're entertaining some other teams here. All right, chat. We appreciate you joining us again for another episode of OTR. Of course, you can catch us here every Sunday, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time. And make sure to hit that sub or follow button. If you missed any part of this episode, don't worry. You can watch it on YouTube the following day, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Pacific. On that note, we're out.